Hey guys, what's up? It's me, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my channel. Yeah, okay. Today I wanted to talk about The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, and slightly a bit The Hunger Games, but mostly its relationship to this book. Because if you don't know, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is a prequel to the Hunger Games series that follows Cornelius. Oh, that's not his name. Coriolanus. I always call him Cornelius because it's a less annoying name to say than his actual name. And I don't like his actual name saying it, so I say Cornelius. So like in my head now his name is Cornelius, but it's not. It's Coriolanus. Coriolanus. I hate it. Snow. It's okay because I hate the character, so I can hate his name as well. Yes, but it follows Snow when he's 18 and his involvement in the 10th Hunger Games and all this kind of stuff. Part of me wanted to talk about this book because a lot of the reviews that I was reading were like 1-star reviews, and I was like, that's not completely fair. Because like they kept saying things like, this added nothing to the world. The reviews are both fair and not fair. I think that it depends on what you want out of the book when you're reading it. I, for one, don't really expect much out of things. I just read it and see what happens. So I wasn't disappointed. I think a lot of people racked up their hopes and like was like, this is gonna be like a really great, amazing story, and I just went into it like, we'll see what happens. Because if you compare, like I reread The Hunger Games after I read this book, and if you are looking for this to be like the next Hunger Games, it's not going to be that. It is very slow and dull and all the things that they said, but also I think that that makes it unique and interesting in its own way. I don't know, I can read really dull, boring, just like info dumping type stuff. Not that this is info dumping, I don't really know if it is or not, but like it's not exciting as much. I did notice me having to kind of like force myself to pick the book back up because I didn't really want to, as opposed to when I was reading The Hunger Games and I had to force myself to put down the book so that I could sleep. So it's a very different reading experience between the two, but I do think that The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes does add to the world and really just Snow. I feel like going into it you have to understand that this seems to be more of like a character study of Snow. I'm just gonna not say his first name because like I don't like his first name, and kind of the Capitol and how it developed into the horrifying way the Capitol reacts to like the Hunger Games, how they're so into it and exciting and they are really like detached from the fact that kids are killing each other. I just found it all very interesting to kind of see that kind of stuff develop and like see from Snow's perspective in a way. I also, while reading it, I found it kind of interesting my reaction to him, because when you're reading your main character a lot of the time you want to root for them, and I felt myself kind of like rooting for him sometimes, but then he would say things and do things and I'm like, oh, I really hate this person. He's terrible. I do want to say like the headmaster of his school like really does not like Snow and like has it out for him, as Snow would say, and I like in my head, this may be a bad timing to make this connection, but it reminded me of like Snape treating Harry how he does in the Harry Potter series, but it's warranted. He like gave him a lot of time, and this is like he's an adult and he's like, oh, you're like your father. And he has a very good reason to not like his father, that you find out at the very end of the book for the reason why he doesn't like his father, and it was a very good reason, and it's very connected to who Snow actually is and has proven himself to be. So I feel like it was not just a teacher going after a kid, it was a teacher being like, wow, that guy's dangerous to the world. So since it's like a character study of Snow, I'm going to take some of the people's critiques and kind of like show how it was more of a strong suit of the book and showing who Snow is. So one of the things that like people have said is that the characters are like kind of dull and like one-dimensional, and I think that is more of a reflection on Snow rather than like the characters themselves, because Snow really, time and time again, he really proved himself to only see people on how they could help or hurt him. Most people didn't have anything else put onto them. Like his cousin Tigress was just shown to like be helping him. That's it. That's all she really had. His grandma was just like annoying to him, how she would sing the anthem all the time, but in the end that helped him. It got him in front of the crowd for people to be like, wow, we really like Snow, he knows the anthem. That was weird. And ultimately, like, Lucy Gray, who was like his romance in this story, which I don't consider it to be like a true romance. Like, I think it's kind of showing how Snow can't truly love people because he turned on her like that. I wouldn't call that a romance. Like, people called it like cringy and unnecessary, but I think it kind of proves who Snow is and that he can't really have a true love because everyone around him is either there to help him or hurt him. And he liked Lucy Gray because she was like his tribute. She was very connected to whether he was going to succeed in the capital or fail in the capital. And so I think he, in his mind, kind of like tied it together into something resembling love. And then if you think about also Dr. Gall, who in the end kind of being more of his mentor and really shaping his view of people, and really what this book, what Suzanne Collins, her idea behind like making this book was kind of just the discussion of like human nature. And Dr. Gall really instilled her view of people and how they should be controlled onto Snow, which explains kind of his worldview and how things in his future kind of turns out, how he sees society and how it should be run. I don't know if this is making much sense, but it's my thoughts, I guess. I have like so many notes and they're not going in the order that I wanted them to. And then we'll talk about like what this book, I guess, added to the world. If you look at the Hunger Games in this story, the 10th Hunger Games, at the beginning, they wanted to like kind of increase engagement with the people, like the capital. Nobody liked the Hunger Games in the capital. It was just like this horrible thing that they didn't want to watch, they didn't want anything to do with. And it's kind of interesting to see how this 10th Hunger Games was very pivotal in switching from that to what we ended up seeing in the trilogy Hunger Games, in that they made it more like interactive for the capital, and also for the 10th Hunger Games, like nobody in the districts could like even watch it. So kind of like once it's Katniss's turn to like be a part of the Hunger Games, how all of this has like changed. So the capital really loves it and the districts don't just see it as losing 2 people every year. It kind of like raised the stakes in a way and made it more in the people's mind from the 10th on. Except the 10th gets erased because it was a mess. The 10th Hunger Games was a mess. Another thing, like with Lucy Gray and that one guy that was like his friend, I don't know how to say his name. He has an annoying name. All of them have annoying names. Oh, Sejanus. The guy who was in District 2 until his dad made like enough money and impact in the dark days so that he can like be in the capital now and is Snow's friend. But him and Lucy Gray kind of really just show how Snow will turn on you as soon as you're not useful to him anymore. I also think that there are 2 people that throughout the book kind of make it seem like there's a chance that maybe, just maybe, Snow could be someone good, but you know throughout the whole thing that that's never gonna happen. He would never be a good person because he doesn't see the world as like good or bad. He sees how can I succeed, and in the world that the capital is, he would never succeed in being someone like Lucy Gray or the boy Sejanus. I don't capital name. The only time that he seemed like he would turn against the capital was because he didn't feel like that he would be able to have a place there anymore. Once he thought that there was no chance for him to survive, he was like, fine, then I won't be a part of it, I'll be against you. But then as soon as he sees, oh, maybe I can, he switches it again. He's like, never mind. He's a self-serving narcissist, and he proved it every single chance that he had, which is why he could never truly love Lucy Gray. And let's talk about Snow and Lucy Gray's relationship. It wasn't a real relationship. It's because Snow didn't love her. He says that he loves her. You may be like, yeah, he loved her. No, I don't think Snow's capable of love, because he would always talk about how he possesses her, like that she's his, and things like that, even when there wasn't really them kind of like being together. So he's like, she can have a history with him, but she's mine now. And it's like, that's not how you talk about the person that you love. It just seemed like he didn't see her as a person, you know? So I don't think that he really loved her. Now, I want to take a little time to talk about the two major people in Snow's life from District 12, being Katniss Everdeen and Lucy Gray. There are the obvious thing. Both Katniss Everdeen and Lucy Gray are District 12 victors, and they have a significant impact on Snow's life, with Lucy Gray being a kind of like a part of his rise, and Katniss being his downfall. Interesting. Two victors lifted him up and pushed him down into the ground where he belongs. Another thing was both of them, like, the Capitol really love, but for like kind of like different reasons. I feel like Katniss isn't as charming as Lucy Gray. Lucy Gray is very charming. She knows how to work a crowd. It's a part of like how she grew up. They both captured the Capitol's attention with Lucy Gray and her singing, her just stage presence, and Katniss just kind of with her spontaneous, heartfelt moments, and then the work of other people helping to make her so loved. Another thing that really like stood out to me between the two was kind of how they were in the games with their allies. Like, they both lost an ally in the Hunger Games arena, and they both kind of reacted the same way, and showing the person like a lot of respect, making sure that they're cleaned up, and just showing this like final act of kindness to their fallen ally, which made them more likable to the Capitol. I thought that the reaction to like Lucy Gray's, we didn't get to see the Capitol's reaction to like Katniss and Rue's whole thing, but we did get to see Lucy Gray's, and how the Capitol then saw her not as like this animal beast from the districts, which is how they saw all the district people, as like animals, which is real great. Real good look for them. Those were like both parts, I think, that made the Capitol kind of be like, wow, they're people. Oh, they're people. Fucking hell, I hate them. Now there's something that I'm very just kind of interested in, is Tigress. So she is Snow's cousin. She's in the Hunger Games. Like, I read the name and I was like, I know that name. And she's in the Hunger Games. She like shelters Katniss and her crew, and she kind of like laughs happily at Katniss when she's like, you know, I'm gonna kill Snow. And she's like, yeah, good. And it's just kind of interesting because in Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, she is very caring for Snow and like wants to do anything that she can for him to succeed. Like, that seems to be what she's doing with her life. Well, that's really what they're doing together. They're trying to succeed in the Capitol. She's very caring and like protective of him, and it's just interesting that somewhere along the way that just got severed so hard. Maybe it's because the Capitol kind of ended up shunning her, and he was such a big part of like the Capitol and what it was. And maybe that somewhere along the way that made them separate and like not like each other, or at least she didn't like him anymore. But I feel like that would be an interesting story, even if it's just like a little story. Like, I don't know, I'm just very intrigued by Tigress and how she became what she was in Mockingjay. I guess the last like kind of final thing that I have written in here that I didn't say anything about is the Hanging Tree, the song. It's in both of the books. This book, it's kind of like when it got created and the story behind how that song came to be. And then in Mockingjay, Katniss had like this kind of fixation on the last line with the man basically saying come to your death, and like why he would say that. And in this book you find out why, because of the creator and that. And I found it kind of interesting, but I also like didn't really know if it was needed. I don't know. I kind of liked it. I kind of liked seeing the circumstances that made the song happen. I guess that wasn't important to say. I don't care. Oh, also, Snow immediately despising Mockingjays in this one. That becoming like Katniss's symbol was just very dependent on the fact that she got that pin, and that that just happened to be the one thing that Snow just like immediately hated the moment he learned about them is just very interesting to me. It's very just coincidence. Like, nobody planned it, but it's hilarious to me that the thing that just somehow became Katniss's like persona was the one thing that just would just bother Snow the most. And I know that this book was written after the Hunger Games, so Suzanne Collins was able to kind of just like put it in there, but I just think that's hilarious. He really hates Mockingjays if you read this. Like, immediately, he's like, these things are the worst thing that's ever happened to the world. They're like these nice little songbirds that like interact with you and they're so cute, and he just despises them. How can you be this much of an asshole? It's like, I kind of understand by the way that he got introduced to them, but it's like that was mostly like the Jabberjays that were still alive that kind of had that thing that made him hate them. And I guess it's because the Mockingjays were like a continuation of these horrible things that made that horrible event. So I guess really the conclusion, or maybe I've already said this, is that this book is not these books. They're not the same. They're not trying to do the same thing. I think that it is a good addition to the whole thing, even if it's a little harder to read, but I think it has some value to it, and I enjoyed it. I like a good just random information. I loved the disaster that was the 10th Hunger Games, and I found it very interesting to learn how the Hunger Games went from like just throwing 24 kids into like this little arena and being like, okay, kill each other, see what happens, to like this very orchestrated big thing in the 74th and 5th Hunger Games, and how it went from like nobody wanting anything to do with it to either everyone wanting to celebrate or be a part of the Hunger Games to it being just the absolute worst and having to watch it. So are you going to love it? I don't know. I think you're either going to like it or you're not going to like it. I don't think that everyone's going to like it. I think a lot of people are not going to like it. Obviously, there was quite a few. It was hard to find like actual reviews. A lot of them were like the pre-reading reviews, so it was really just hard to find people's opinions, and it was very annoying. Yes, those are a lot of my thoughts. I probably left some stuff out. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you give the book a chance. But if you do go in to read it, don't expect it to be the Hunger Games, because it's not the Hunger Games. It's not as exciting. There isn't as much of a strong like driving force. People had said that it like meanders. It does. But I still enjoyed it. Also, I want to put in here, I had said in a previous video that I was going to make a video on Dark Matter, the book. I'm not. I started to put that together and I just didn't want to, so I'm not going to. Sorry. Okay. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video and my little talk. I thought it was going to go on longer, but I probably have more that I want to say, but I don't remember what it is. I'm just adding this because I guess I should say like, subscribe, comment. See you next time. I'm saying I don't know a lot because I'm coming to the end.